Now we're on to our big review
Here
of
comes
the movie
kids.
Sinners.
Yes. What a movie.
God damn, did I love this fucking movie. Well, here's the problem I'm going to have now, though.
Okay.
They have been releasing so much shit that we've had to watch, and now the last two movies I've seen is Killers and Sinners. How the fuck am I going to be able to rebound off of this after whatever dog shit comes out?
I know. We're going to have to sit through fucking Ironheart or goddamn Thunderbolts or something, and we're going to just be like, why?
What makes me mad is this is on par to me with a movie like Get Out.
Yeah.
And Get Out got all this talk and all this critical... And honestly, other than like some of the nerdier populations, there hasn't been a lot of talk about Sinners.
The talk that I saw was... I saw that there was a lot of talk in the springtime when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
But it was mostly centered around certain things Haley Steinfeld says during
the
course of the film.
That's true.
so
Mrs. Josh Allen, by the way.
Yeah. So the popularity there, I wonder if that's going to come up in training camp.
Oh, that's gotta come up.
He hasn't seen his coworkers since this movie came out. Yeah. So I just wonder how that's going to go.
I know True Grit's great, but she was fucking fantastic.
She's great in every movie.
She really is, but this was like different. It was different for her, and man, she was fucking good.
Yeah, she's not a child anymore.
No, not even a little bit.
Not a child.
Not even a little bit.
That little 14-year-old girl in True Grit, she grew up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Big time.
So for those who have not seen it, Sinners is pretty much it's kind of an offshoot of From Dusk Till Dawn.
I was also about to say it's basically the black version of From Dusk Till Dawn.
No, this is an homage to this.
It's so close to the plot of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, to prove that, I worked with somebody who had never seen From Dusk Till Dawn, but she saw Sinners and said, it had a very Tarantino-like...
Yeah.
And I'm like... Because he wrote fucking From Dusk Till Dawn!
He wrote this movie
that's right.
25 years ago.
Dude. But it's Michael B. Jordan plays two brothers. He plays twins. And they
Smoke
were...
and Stack.
So this is in the 30s. No, 20s.
35.
35. It was 35.
It might be the best name for two characters. Smoke and Stack. So fucking good.
So they went up to Chicago and they were gangsters.
Yeah.
But then they stole a bunch of money and came back down to their home.
They stole a bunch of money and goods.
Oh, yeah, all the liquor.
And they come back to Mississippi
to open a speakeasy.
Because they realize we are still treated like shit in the North.
Yeah.
So we might as well do what we're going to do
like shit.
in our own neighborhood because we won't have to deal with this competition.
So they get back and they want to open a speakeasy, and they have a cousin who is a musician, even though he's fighting against his father who's a preacher and doesn't want him because he thinks music's like the devil.
He's footloose.
Exactly.
He's a footloose preacher.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it's very John Lithgow. And so, it starts off as this like really dramatic thing where they're kind of touching base with characters they've interacted with.
Oh, I love the first act of this movie.
Oh, it's so good. But like even the first act, how it melded into the opening night of the speakeasy with like the Asian couple. Yeah. How everyone's like a family. They're just walking around interacting, and it was so wonderful.
It was so good. And it has both those elements of like the twins weirdly kind of have both a George Bailey and Don Corleone aspect to them.
Which Stack is the Don Corleone and Smoke's the one that died.
No, backwards.
Oh yeah, so Stack is the one who's like freewheeling.
Yeah.
Kind of like, and Smoke is
all business.
Very much so.
The way that we're introduced to who Smoke and Stack are is that their cousin Sammy is like, is it true that you killed your dad? And Stack is like, no, we didn't kill our dad. Smoke killed our dad.
Yeah.
I was unconscious, and he was already buried by the time I woke up.
Yeah.
That's who Smoke is.
Yeah.
Smoke sees his brother get beaten and kills his dad.
Yes.
And so
fucking awesome.
And so, but like Michael B. Jordan's performance in this.
Oh.
It reminds me, I think the best encapsulation of it is that opening shot of the two of them. Where
sitting against the car.
Where Stack is rolling a cigarette.
Yes.
Hands it to Smoke. Smoke lights the cigarette and then hands it back to Stack, who continues to smoke the cigarette. That might be one of the best shots I've seen in the modern era.
And that is, I love how it plays at the end where Smoke doesn't have Stack anymore. He's trying to roll a cigarette and he just can't do it. And it was like, oh my fucking God, that was such a beautiful connection.
God. And just like everything about his performance. I love the scene where they find the rattlesnake in the back of the truck. And it's just like the way that these two brothers look at this situation, and then the toss of the knife is just so good.
Yeah.
It's and how that knife comes back at the end of the movie.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's so fucking
It's
good.
fucking great. No, I love the first act of this movie because it is all character.
Very much so.
You have that initial moment where we see Sammy coming back to his father's parish, and then the day before.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, some shit happened.
And that's what I love is that's one of the major things that differentiates this from Dusk Till Dawn is they're both got the character introduction in the beginning, but this one's has much more heart, and it's not as like kind of freewheeling as the first as from Dusk Till Dawn.
It's like in Dusk Till Dawn we are kind of introduced to the brothers and given to like them because of how they interact with the woman at the hotel.
Yes.
And how they interact with Harvey Keitel.
Yes.
And so those are like the moments where we're like, well, these guys are assholes, but I kind of like them.
Yeah.
When Smoke goes back to Annie, his ex-wife, and goes to his daughter's grave.
Oh my God.
You're like, I don't care what he does in the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
I want to see where this man goes.
Yeah.
Because holy shit.
And I am so happy they gave him a gladiator-esque send-off at the end.
So beautiful.
Because that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, this is Gladiator.
Yeah.
Where he sees his family in the afterworld and like goes to them. I'm like, holy shit, this is so fucking good.
And like on top of that, you have all this stuff going on with Smoke, who is like he's the heavy. He's the guy that goes around. He hires a girl to watch his truck, and he's like, I'll give you 10 cents. And she's like, deal. And he's like, no deal. You have to barter.
Yes.
I have more than that. You need to be smarter than that and barter me higher. And so they barter up to 20. And he's like, good. There you go.
Yeah.
Sit in this truck, honk the horn if anybody looks at it for longer than a few seconds. He goes into a store. Horn starts going. He steps out. He shoots 2 guys in the leg. And they turn around. They're like, oh, Smoke, we didn't know it was your stuff. And she's like, bullshit. I told them it was your stuff.
But I love it. The second guy, he waited until he was walking away, then shot him in the leg. I'm like, oh, that's fucking up. No, he shot him in the ass.
He shot the first guy in the ass. And then he shot the second guy in the knee.
First guy in the ass, second guy in the knee.
Yeah. But it's so you have all this heaviness.
Yeah.
And yet you also see that he's this pillar of the community.
Yeah.
Where he's lifting everybody around him up in spite of the deeds that he does. Kind of like that story that Kelly's grandfather was telling me about the gangster in Saratoga. And then on the flip side, you have Stack and Sammy going around meeting people, kind of building the talent pool.
Yes.
And that's where we get Haley Steinfeld comes in because she was... I guess we find out that she is not related to Smoke and Stack, but kind of like tangentially.
Kind of like a stepsister type thing.
Her mom took care of them during their youth at various times. They do have that line that I get a little anxious when anybody's like, well, I'm an 8th black. I'm like, I don't know if we need to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
So when Haley Steinfeld's like, yeah, well, my grandfather was half black. I'm like, I understand why this is coming up. I also feel like we don't need to go into all that. Yeah. Because it's just like, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
But I could see a character of that age saying that.
And in that time.
So that's the thing.
And in that time period. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is happening. They got a location.
And we meet Delroy Lindo, who is a blues musician they want to get to play, and
a drunk.
I loved when he hands him the Irish beer and the reaction he had to drinking it,
where he smells it and then he tastes it.
That I mean, it made me taste that beer.
Yeah,
I was like, that is just the pure joy he felt with it.
He was so good in this role.
He was really
because he
didn't
need to be great.
No,
but he was great.
He was great.
Even stupid scenes like when he gets put in charge of the door.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there being like, they're like, where's Cornbread? And he's like, he must be building you an outhouse because dude went out to take a piss like 2 hours ago. And it's just like, this is great.
It's so great.
This is great. And it's the kind of flame that you need in the story. Yes. And it also shows us what kind of a man Stack is. Where Stack is like, you have this conversation between him and... was it Delta Slim was the name of the character I want to say for Delroy Lindo? So
Delta Slim, yep.
You have him and Slim are talking and negotiating for Slim to play at this new club that they're opening.
Yeah.
And Stack is like, I'll give you $20 every week. And Slim's like, Like, you're going to be open next week?
Yeah.
How do I know you're going to be open next week?
I have this place that I get $10.
Yeah. I've been working at Messengers for 10 years.
Yeah.
And Messengers are going to be open 10 years after you're closed.
Exactly.
And so, but it's like
Which is also great foreshadowing to what really happens.
But it's just a great little moment between these characters. And then you introduce, I almost called her Pauline. It's not Pauline, it's like Paulette or something. Paulette. And Haley Steinfeld, and just like the
Oh no, Mary.
Mary is Haley Steinfeld.
That's Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, Haley Steinfeld.
Sammy has a girl that comes after him.
Yes. Paulette.
Paulette or something. Anyway.
Pearline.
I knew it was something like that. But anyway, I love that scene at the train station, not just because we get Haley Steinfeld with some truly dirty talk coming out of her mouth.
But it was like, it was so organic.
Even Michael B. Jordan seems like he chokes in the moment when she says it. Where he's like, why is she? Hang on, wait a minute.
And the good thing is you can believe it because on the drive to the station, he's teaching Sammy about giving oral sex to a woman.
Yeah.
So when she says that, you're like, oh, she's telling the truth, man, because you're just talking about how well you do it.
Yeah. So, but that was, I just like everything once the club opens is so great because there's so much joy in life.
Yes.
And then we meet the vampires, and you're
But what I love with that, too, is they waited.
Yeah.
At first, I thought they were waiting too long to introduce the vampires, but then I'm like, no, wait a second. This was the right...
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know a lot of backstory on the vampires. I mean, you see the lead vampire, Remick, going to this farmhouse of these two farmers, and ends up killing them and making them part of his...
And we get that group of Native Americans
that
show up to the house, and we're like, okay, so we know...
They were hunting.
As long as we wait long enough... help will come.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So they introduce these Native Americans that are supposed to help. We'll get back to that. But I love the vampires in this movie because it is such like, it's one of those great stories where you get to the end and you're kind of like, I mean, was he right? Was Remick right? He might have been right.
Yeah.
He might have had the right idea.
And I loved Remick.
Yeah.
I liked these vampires.
Yeah.
Even though you're rooting against them, you're like, they sing beautifully.
Yeah.
And their musical number was amazing.
The Irish number is crazy.
It's unbelievable.
That's so good, where you have all these vampires of various races dancing around to this Irish clan
There were
song.
two numbers. There was that number and there was Sammy's number.
Yeah.
Where you get to see all of these ghosts of people from past and future.
And this was where I did laugh at that scene for one moment. When
the future
guitarist shows up, I was like, okay, all right. But they brought me back when they brought in the turntable and the dancers. I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I see what you're doing.
Yes.
That moment was ridiculous. But now,
yes,
in the context of everything else going on, and it gives us this great idea that we don't see in other vampire stories. There's two elements of this that we don't see in other vampire stories that I think work so well that I would like to see them added to the vampire mythology moving forward. One, this idea of vampires not just being lonely, but looking for a way to connect with the people they no longer have around.
Yes.
So that's why they're going out and doing the things that they're doing, is because they see an opportunity to reconnect with the families that they've lost over the years of being on this planet. And that draw is just so great. Plus, they think that they're doing real moral good.
Yes.
They think that they're helping all of these poor souls that are just put upon and hated by their neighbors by making them monsters. Yeah. They're like, they already see you as monsters. You might as well be monsters.
What helped with that transition is they don't really show too much of the attack by the vampires.
No.
Like when they attack everyone that runs out, you don't see any of that.
No, you don't see any of that. You just see everybody leave the club and you're like, well, I hope that worked out. And then you see them all running around in a circle and you're like, it did not work out.
It did not work out at all.
Or like when Haley Steinfeld is turned. Because like when you first meet her, it's in the middle of the day. You're like, she's not a vampire. And she loves these guys. Like she loves these guys maybe a little too much. And like to the point where they're like, you're going to get in trouble if you keep doing this. People will kill you for doing this. And they'll kill us, and then they'll kill you. So when she goes out to talk to the vampires, I'm like, don't do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. And she turns around, she's walking back, and I'm like, don't turn your back on them. And immediately you see Remick just lift off the ground. And it's such a great, quick shot.
So awesome.
And you don't see her get bit.
Nope.
You don't see anything else. It's just that one moment you're like, she's dead. she's dead. But this brings up the second idea that I love, which is she comes back in. And I love how they use invitation.
Yes.
That's so important.
I was just thinking that was amazing.
And it's never used anymore.
No.
It's not a part of stories.
Nope.
Like, can you imagine 30 Days of Night if there was an invitation
God,
clause?
it'd
be an entirely different movie.
That'd be different.
But, like, I love the way that they use the invitation in this. And I love that they have this element where once you become a vampire, you get the memories of all the other vampires.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that before, and so I'm looking and I'm watching Haley Steinfeld turning on these people she has talked about loving so greatly for the last 20 minutes. You're like, why? Is she just driven? Can she just not help herself? No. It's that now she understands their mentality.
Yes.
And she's like, they're right. This is better.
Yeah.
This is a better way to solve the problem.
It's a big hive mind.
And I really love that. I thought that was so well done. And it's not a hive mind like we see hive minds in other things, because all the characters still have their own sentience.
Exactly.
They all have their own power and capability within the hive mind. It's not like they fully lose their own personality and now they just have to do whatever the hive mind wants. No.
Because she still loves Stack.
Yeah.
She just thinks turning him is the best thing
is the
to
best
do for him.
option for both of them. Because
which kind of the being, but
as Remick says, these people already think you're monsters.
Yeah.
This just allows you to fight for yourself. We're giving you fellowship. We're giving you all those things that you say you want, but you just have to sacrifice your humanity to do it. And at the end of the movie, you're kind of like, was he right? He might have been right. I'm not saying that he's definitely right, but he has a point. He has some kind of conversation that we have to have. But it's one of those tragic stories where as you're meeting all these characters in the first act and you're falling in love with all of them, you're like, these guys are all going to die.
Yeah, they're all going to die.
Every single person we meet is going to die.
Yeah.
And, kind of, a little bit. And it had that terrible, like, I've seen this a few times in movies now, the character who sacrifices themselves and ultimately their sacrifice mean nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Which was Delroy Lindo.
It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man... Like, the one in Kong Skull Island is the one that always stands out to me, where you have the one white guy in the crew, and he doesn't talk a lot, and he's like, I don't have a family to go back to.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of this problem right now. And he pulls a bunch of pins off of his vest, and then the monster picks him up and throws him.
Yeah.
It's just like, what
I
the
still
fuck
love
was
that scene. I love that scene.
So anyway... I really love this movie.
And we got to talk about the ending. So this is a big spoiler, everyone.
Yes, from here on out, it's major spoilers.
Yeah. So Stack and Mary turn, and they are the only two vampires that survive.
Yeah.
Because Smoke cannot kill Stack, and he makes him promise, and that's what else I love. He makes him promise not to bother Sammy.
Yeah.
Because Sammy is the only human that lives.
Yeah.
And... at the very end of the movie, and this part still blew me away, they got Buddy Guy, who's one of the greatest blues musicians ever, to play Old Sammy.
Yeah.
And he's playing in a club, and Stack and Mary come in.
In full 90s gear.
Full 90s gear.
Stack is wearing a Cosby sweater.
Yeah, very much so. And Mary's got like the tricked out hair and all that. And they say, you're at the end of your life. I promised Smoke I wasn't going to bother you. Do you want me to...
want in?
And when Smoke says no, or when
Sammy says
no, he
goes
with it. He gives him a hug and says, and it's like, that is so amazing.
We'll see you later, little Sammy.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's such a great scene.
Dude, that ending was spectacular.
And the moment when Stack puts a bunch of money on the table and he has the brass knuckle that just says Stack that looked like the knife that they had at the beginning. Like, it's so tight. It's so well done. Even moments where, like, you feel like we've reached a climax and a conclusion. So, like, the movie ends with everybody dying.
Yes.
By the way, the Asian couple's death is... oh, my God.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
That was just like, listen, I know, Grace, I know. Put your dress out.
Yeah.
You're on fire. I know, but don't.
Just hearing her, like, still talking and screaming, it's like, oh my
God. And when she breaks invitation,
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, here we go. It's on now.
Come on in, motherfuckers. And everyone's like, what
are you doing? But, like, I just love how this movie approaches some of these ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and going back to From Dusk Till Dawn, you never feel like the vampires are in the right.
No,
right?
not at all.
You feel like they're
guys. They're the bad guys.
You feel like they're a danger.
Yes.
Even Selma Hayek, you're like, don't.
She's just
trust
really
her.
hot. She's a bad guy.
Here, you kind of wonder if Remick is right a few times in the movie.
Yeah.
There's that great scene where there's a guy who gets passed out drunk, and they throw him out because they think he's dead. And they're like, we didn't even see him get bit. And they just throw him out because it's like, we can't have dead bodies on the premises because they'll turn into vamps and then we got problems. He's not dead. He's just skunk drunk.
Yeah.
And so he tries to get back in, and as he's trying to get back in, he gets bit. And we see him turn, and he just suddenly has this smile on his face like, yeah, this is better.
Yeah.
This is better for everybody. And then when you get to the end of the movie, and we've seen all these people we care about die because of these decisions, and Remick is basically telling us, like, you fucking idiot. The Klan sold you this so that they could come and shoot it up.
Yeah.
They're coming today to shoot the whole place up. And I came to give you an opportunity to fight back against them. And this is how you repay me?
Yeah.
I even stole their son, the son of the head of the Klan. I stole him. I turned him into a vampire. And even now, this is how you repay me? And so Smoke he's ready. When the Klan shows up, he's ready. And God, that
was an awesome shootout. Holy shit.
But like leading into that, you're like, so where is this going? Because I feel like the movie is kind of largely wrapped up, but there's just this one hanging Chad. And so the Klan shows up, and when he pulls out the sniper rifle, baby bear.
Dude, that's amazing.
But just him walking with the Tommy was also just a great shot.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's
but
such a
you're
wonderful
right. Remick
moment.
is right, because he's like, listen, I will make you immortal because you have all this hate in the world.
Everybody here already
and now
hates
you can fight back.
Yeah, this is. I'm not changing anything.
Yeah,
they already hate you. This won't make them hate you any less or more. They will hate you the exact same that they hate you now.
I love it.
All you can do is fight back. If you come with me, we're a community. And the idea that Remick isn't just some Irish guy, he's ancient.
Yeah.
He's been around a while.
A very long time.
Like some of the things he says about wanting to see his ancestors and the people that he's left behind, you get this idea that he was like a Viking.
Yeah.
Like this guy's been around a long time. And just like the characterization of that character, to turn him from this guy where you don't trust him from the moment he flops into the scene
absolutely.
on the Klan members.
And he's burning because
he's a vampire.
The Indians are changing.
And from that moment on, you're like, similar to what I was saying about Prince Hans, you're like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's anything he could do to make me trust him. And then you're listening to him, and you watch him dance, and you watch him sing, and you listen to him, and you're like, he's not right, but he's kind of right.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Killmonger at the end of Black Panther.
Yes.
Where you're like, he's not right, but he's kind of right.
He's kind of right.
There's an element to what he's saying that is true.
Which, it's funny because Killmonger had a lot of the similar intentions.
Yeah.
Handing out weapons so these people who have been marginalized can fight back, and that's exactly what Remick wants to do.
Yeah.
So I love this fucking movie so much.
This was another A+. This is 2 weeks in a row of A++.
Yeah.
Like, no notes. I don't have any notes.
No.
What would my note be? It's too much like From Dusk Till Dawn. Okay, so you took a B grade movie and you made it better.
But that's what I was going to say, is it's better.
It's better than Dusk Till Dawn.
It is.
Because A, it takes place in the 30s, so immediately it's much cooler in every way. And it's one of the things that I loved about this movie is remembering, like, The Great Gatsby takes place, like, 12 or 13 years before this.
Yeah.
And it's just that difference of what New York looks like in 1925 versus what Mississippi looks like in 1935.
Yeah.
And remembering all, like all the history that you've learned and the Great Depression, all those other things. It's like, it really categorizes it in a really, really good way. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Way more interesting than Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, yeah.
Way more interesting.
And it's like, something that you just touched on, but we also didn't really touch on too much, is I love the family aspect of this movie with this community, and you mentioned that earlier, but you see it again in the speakeasy when Stack and Smoke's girl give a guy drinks who barely has any money, and they're like, he's part of our community, and he worked hard for that.
Yeah.
And Smoke's mad because he wants to make money, but Stack's like, it's kind of not why we're here.
Yeah. Well, and like, I love when that builds, where it's like Stack is like, the point of this wasn't to make money.
Yes.
The point of this was to give our people a community place where they could feel safe and protected and free to do whatever they wanted. And then, like, 3 scenes later, Smoke calls Stack over and he's like, this is the number that we took out of Chicago. this is the losses that we have taken
It's like
tonight.
2 months they would be
we'd be out of money.
Out of money.
And it's just like this tug and pull back and forth of like, what do they want? Is it more important to be sustainable and therefore exclusionary than it is to be so fully embracing of everybody that you can't make money?
And it makes sense then when Stack is changed, he assimilates easy into that environment because that is the community he was trying to bring.
He found a community that fully embraces who he is.
Yes.
That doesn't say you shouldn't be with this white woman.
Yes.
That doesn't ask what this white woman is doing here in the first place. They don't care about that.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care two shits about that.
Yep.
To them, as long as you're a vampire, you're one of us, and we don't really fucking care about it otherwise. And just like one thing, I guess it's like a minor complaint. But, like, I love Annie's character. I thought Annie as a character was fucking spectacular. She's so good.
And to think that the only thing I've really seen her in is that goddamn awful Loki. Well, she was in Deadpool and Wolverine.
She was in Deadpool and Wolverine, and she was also in the H.P. Lovecraft Country. She was Ruby in Lovecraft Country. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's a very complicated show, and definitely one where you're just like, what's happening? What's going on? But it's fucking spectacular. It's one of those shows where it gives you a history lesson in real life where you're like, wait, that thing that they talked about, that really happened? Oh, yeah. That was a very real thing that very much really happened.
Yeah. And I do like how they altered the cliche in this movie where she says to Smoke, if I get bit, make sure that you kill me. And instead of him not doing it, he fucking does it.
He does it.
Because he loves her so much.
And Stack and Mary are horrified.
Yeah.
Stack and Mary are like, what are you doing?
Yes.
You can't kill her. No. Now she can't be part of everything that we're building. We built this for both of you. We wanted both of you to be part of this. And now she's gone. And it's just...
Dude.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good.
And all leading up to that gladiator moment at the end, which...
Oh, my God.
Really, like, it'll put tears in your eyes. Oh, my God.
Dude.
Just her holding the baby and breastfeeding it while all of that is happening.
Yeah.
Is just such a spectacular moment.
And how she tells him to put the cigarette out so it doesn't get on the baby, even though they're spirits.
You don't get any smoke on this baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ugh.
So fucking
it's so good.
And a little snippet I forgot to add in that I absolutely adored is they didn't bite the necks. They bit you on your back.
Anywhere you got
Anywhere
bit.
they can hide so you can get back in without showing any.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Such a great little snitch.
No, it's not until Cornbread gets shot in the face that we kind of realize anything's wrong with him. Like, there's an idea that something's definitely wrong. But, like, he doesn't have any outward look.
Well, didn't we, before that, when Mary...
Yeah.
So she seduces Stack, and while they're having sex, he pulls her dress down, and you can see the bite, and then she bites him.
Yeah.
So that's how you're like, oh,
I love that scene, too, where you have this gambling debate that's going on, where this guy is using loaded dice and gets caught with a razor. He slashes up a guy's face, and you just have a room of men kicking him.
Yeah.
Like, they put him on the ground and they just start kicking him.
Yeah.
And, like, you know how when you're putting up a circus tent and you have all the people hammering in sync? It's like that, but with kicking. And so they, Smoke sends Sammy to go get Stack because he needs to know what's going on in the gambling hall. And Sammy walks in on them having sex. And he's like, oh, I'm not doing this. And he walks back to Smoke and he's like, they're having nookie. I'm not going in there. And Smoke's like, okay, fine, I'll go in.
Yeah.
And they go in. They're not having sex.
No, she's fighting the shit out of his neck.
They may have been at one point.
Yeah, she's ripping his throat out is what she's doing.
No longer. Yeah. And again, going back to just the effects, we complain all the time about overuse of CGI. The complete believability of Michael B. Jordan holding himself while he dies.
Yeah.
And you never doubt it. You never doubt it for a second.
Not even a little bit.
And, like, there's only really one moment where I got confused who was who. And I think it was kind of on purpose. It's towards the end of the movie. They do that white hat, black hat thing where Smoke is wearing a white wife beater, Stack is wearing a black vest, and they're fighting, and that's really the only way you can tell them apart. So there were a few moments where I was like, wait, who's who?
Yeah.
What's going on? But, like, that scene, again, of them fighting each other is
unbelievable.
It's fucking perfect. Like, you never at any moment are like, oh, I see it. I see the line. I see the break.
I want to check the budget of this movie because that was another thing because you look at this movie and you're like, this movie looked spectacular.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie was amazing, from the costumes to the set designs.
Sets. Oh my god,
dude! The town, the house that what's her face is in, Smoke's woman. Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it's
unbelievable.
It's absolutely stellar, and you feel like it's all real sets.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like one of those things where it's like, oh, we built the storefront and then we had a big, green screen.
Yeah,
I
mean, it was a $90 million movie.
Yeah.
But once again, that's what half of an episode of Acolyte.
At least, yeah.
Was this movie.
Most episodes of Acolyte are more than twice that amount.
Yeah.
And it's Godzilla -1.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you have a good story, and it's not, the CGI is not being used to prop up the story. The CGI is being used to tell an effective story. It's in going to Godzilla -1. That story is about PTSD.
Yes.
That story is not just about a giant lizard walking all over things. But you look at the 2015 Godzilla, and that movie didn't have either of those things.
No.
It didn't have any characterizations that were interesting.
Pile of shit.
And it didn't have any monster attacks that were interesting. Yeah. And so you kind of sit there and you're like, so this had this enormous budget and all this time and all these people and all this thought that went into it. And ultimately, the coolest thing about it is watching this halo drop next to Godzilla, because it's incredible to see Godzilla's head rise out of the clouds when you see these guys skydiving, and there's a great shot for that.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no other great moment in that entire movie.
And I'm starting to see a comparison between the video game industry and the movie industry, because the video game industry quite literally has gotten to the point where a lot of these AAA games are okay.
Yeah.
And it's mainly the indies that are amazing.
The indie games are the really good ones.
And that's what's happening with the film industry. All the big budget movies are kind of shit.
No.
But these smaller, low budget are fucking phenomenal.
You don't hear about how you have to go out and play Final Fantasy 18.
Yes.
You do have to go out and play Hollow Knight.
Yep.
And
exactly.
It's very similar in terms of its style and scope, but radically different in terms of what you get out of it. Final Fantasy got into this grind of like, oh, this fight takes you in actual real life 24 hours to complete. No.
Yeah.
Then you don't get my money. You don't get my money.
No,
you
exactly.
certainly don't get my time. Like, and so many games have that kind of feeling. Even my beloved Spider-Man Insomniac games have that feeling of, okay, we were on a roll here, and now we're doing a stealth mission as Mary Jane, and it's not that it's a Mary Jane mission, it's that it's an incredibly slow stealth mission. That's the problem. If it was a Mary Jane mission that was well written and interesting and made you feel like things were clipping along, great. But it doesn't feel that way. And it's in part because of the gameplay, and it's in part because of the writing. And you get that a lot with other movies. Sinners doesn't have that problem because there's no dead weight on this entire thing. Bit. You're just the entire time, like, to the degree where that scene we were talking about with Stack in a Cosby sweater takes place in the middle of the credits.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to go looking for it because I was so staggered by this movie that I just sat through the credits.
And the music was spectacular, so I wanted to just hear if there was any...
And then there's another musical number at the very, 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 very end of the credits.
Yeah.
If you wait to the end of the credits, you hear Sammy sing This Little Light of Mine, which is what the parishioners were all singing in the church when he shows up. So it's just like, this movie fucking has everything. It doesn't have this gajillion-dollar budget. It has a reasonable budget for what you're trying to do. You're going to have a lot of CGI because you have Michael B. Jordan playing two roles. But that's where all the CGI goes. I imagine some of the towns were CGI because otherwise they would have a lot of stuff in the background. Like I don't think
same with the train station.
Exactly. I imagine they cut stuff out of the backgrounds more than they added stuff in, which is what I want CGI to be. I want CGI to be for amplifying and intensifying. I don't want CGI to be the thing.
Exactly.
You have to be like Muppet quality great for CGI to be the reason I'm watching a thing. Like when you watch a Muppet movie, you're not watching it for the humans, you're watching it for the Muppets. And I feel like Disney seems to have this idea where it's like, if our CGI is good enough, that's going to be the reason people come to see the movie.
Yeah.
No. Never going to happen. Never going to be a thing. Always the wrong decision.
Yes.
The CGI should be there to amplify everything and pick it all up and make it that much more intense. It should not be where everything hangs on. And if the CGI is just no good, then you spent gajillions of dollars on turning a lightsaber red instead of blue when a drop of blood falls onto the kyber crystal. No, wait, not onto the kyber crystal, onto the lens holding the kyber crystal. And somehow that's enough. That's all it takes, baby bear. Did you know Star Wars sucks now?
Why do you gotta bring that up?
Because they did it first.
I know.
They hurt me. They don't get to be let off the hook for hurting me.
Yeah, I love this movie. I hope it gets recognition when it comes to award season.
This better be one of those movies that, like, it came out in April and it gets nominated for a gajillion awards.
It's got to.
Like, Michael B. Jordan should be nominated. There's a part of me that thinks Haley Steinfeld should have been nominated.
Oh, and she should get a supporting actress nom. Absolutely.
Like, everybody in this movie is so fucking good. And, like, it has great moments that are loud and great moments that are quiet. When Grace goes to find her husband, Beau, and he's just like, I got the car started. Let's go home and see Lisa. And there's a million vampires around. You're like, oh. And then the Remick starts speaking in Cantonese to her.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh. And he has some filthy things to say as well.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is we've entered a whole new realm.
Yeah.
Like, we were just arguing about cornbread and letting him in and everything, and now we have this.
Yeah.
And
but
this
I
is
love
a real
that
problem.
there was that tension moment of, are they going to go fucking get the daughter?
Yeah.
And it's like, shit.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, she's like, we can't wait for sunrise anymore.
Yeah.
We can't just sit here and wait. There's other people out there that are going to get hurt. And a lot of them are related to us in one way or another.
Dude, and that's what made her badass moment so badass.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck it. I don't give a shit.
I don't care what any of you say.
I'm going out swinging.
We're doing this right now. We don't have time to wait. This is happening now.
Yeah.
We don't have time to be like, let's come up with a plan. Let's do this. But, like, even small things. Like how Smoke says to Stack when he's trying to figure out if he's a vampire or not. And he's like, we were together when we were kids. We were together in those trenches in Germany. We were together in Chicago. And we're together now. I need you to tell me who you are. And, like, we hear that he was in the army. But just him saying we were together in those trenches in Germany, you immediately understand what that means.
Yeah.
For these two men specifically.
Yeah.
And the potency of hearing those words, of just being like, oh, he didn't just go to war. They didn't just go to war. They were on the front lines.
Yeah.
They were the fodder. And they survived all that. And they came home and they were treated like shit when they came home. So they went to Chicago and they were treated like shit in Chicago. So they came back home and they're just like, this is as good as it's going to get. And then somebody comes along and says, doesn't have to be. Could be better. Man, it's a good movie.
It's such a good fucking movie. I know. I've only watched it once. I'm definitely going to watch it again.
I literally just finished it like an hour and a half
before
we finished the show because I've been so busy.
Oh, Jesus.
I've been like just crazy
so
busy.
So it's really fresh in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that's a testament to this movie is I've seen it. I watched it almost a week ago, and it's still fresh in my brain. Yeah. Because I can't stop thinking about how good it was.
It's so fucking good. Yeah. And really, like, takes the Dusk Till Dawn premise and busts it wide open.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, just simple things. Like, I guess you could say that it's a complaint that they hint that it's some kind of Haitian demon, more like a body snatcher than a vampire. And I think the way Annie phrases it is that it snatches your soul out and a new soul is put in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then she's like, no, these are vampires.
These are vampires, yeah.
And I was like, oh. Okay.
And I love that it was her that corrected herself. Yeah. She's like, no, fuck that. I was wrong.
These are vampires.
These are fucking vampires.
And I kind of like the initial idea of this being like a body snatcher type thing and not just vampires, but then switching so fully over to vampires while still using the vampire mythology and the elements that aren't used in vampire mythology. So good.
Because I do, and I know we didn't really touch on this, but they play her off as almost like a voodoo priestess.
Yeah.
Where she's like a healer.
She's a magic person. Yeah.
And then it's like for her to be like, she's like the Van Helsing now. She's like, I know this situation. Yeah. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we got to fucking do.
Well, the scene where she takes Smoke aside and says, you have to kill me if I get bit, is because she's been rolling runes for a few minutes and they keep giving her bad answers.
Yep.
And so she says, okay, well, fuck. I guess that's the way it's going to go.
I also took it as the sweet thing of she doesn't want to live forever because she does want to see her baby again.
That moment where she says, I don't want to be here forever because I got people in the afterlife waiting for me, and you do too.
Yes.
Oh.
They both are so desperate to see their baby again. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is so good.
The moment where Smoke is in her house and he's like, is this real magic? And she's like, yeah, it's real magic. And he's like, have you figured out the magic to bring our baby back? Dude.
Oh my God.
Great movie.
Oh, that was Nerdpod Generations episode 164, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. I loved it. I love when we can talk about positive things.
I love having a positive mentality about stuff.
Yes.
Because we can still get negative about things. We still have concerns over stuff.
Like we just said, unfortunately, most of the media out there in the world nowadays is dog shit.
It's trash.
So
like even something like Murderbot, which I am excited to review.
Yes, we are going to be talking about that soon.
Even something like that, where it has elements that I like in terms of the way that it approaches storytelling, it didn't leave me with this kind of excitement.
No, not even
that was a
close.
Chore. That was a task that had to be done.
Yes.
This is like, I wish I could watch this movie again for the first time.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, once again, Nerdpod Generations 164, please go to nerdpodgen.com. I will have a link up there soon to this episode, so it'll take you right to Spotify where you'll be able to listen to the episode. Also, we have links, once again, to Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and whatnot. Not whatnot, the app. I know I'm going to say that another time.
That's going to be a problem.
I'm going to have to stop saying whatnot.
That's an actual problem.
That is an actual, because I watch so many YouTubers that do whatnot, so I have it in my brain.
Well, because like we remember the 90s, like not like in terms of like watching old episodes of Full House, though that is how I remember the 90s in a lot of ways. But like in terms of like, I remember watching the Cubs play during the home run a-thon in 1998. I remember the 90s.
Yes.
We've been using that word for all kinds of things.
For a lot of things.
It's been a long time. It's been the lexicon for a long time.
But now, if you go to listen or watch on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, set up notifications so you can get advance notice whenever we do put a new episode up. And if you do go to the website, you're going to see not only our pictures, but you're going to see this awesome artwork. Al, who does our artwork and music?
Our art is by Kortney Howell. Our music is by Brendan Williams and James Connolly. I'm Alfred Judson.
I'm a very tired Steve Taylor. That took a lot out of me.
Yeah, between the heat and the heat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good times.
So, till next week, friends and enemies, we probably won't be talking about vampires, but you never know.
You never know.
It could happen.
Hey, maybe the vampire apocalypse hits.
Hey,
Yay!
that could solve a lot of problems.
That could solve a lot of problems.
Or at least move us on to new ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a good week, friends and enemies.
There.